Yeah, fairly high. We felt like we had a really, really strong chance of being a seeded team, probably expected to be a seeded team. So to be overlooked in that way certainly stings a little bit. You could tell by obviously the reaction of the players. They weren't particularly happy either. But the most important thing is we're here, we're at home, and we're in, and we're in with a shot. So we expected before long to have to play some very, very good teams and probably have to travel a little bit. It comes around earlier than anticipated, so it is what it is. We've got to get ourselves focused and make sure we're prepared for North Florida.
What do the next 3 days look like to get prepared?
Busier than they would have had we had the first round bye, but yeah, I'll be upstairs getting ready for North Florida, and now obviously you have to consider the turnaround time. We've just played a game that's gone all the way to overtime. We're on a 3-day turnaround, so it's a relatively short turnaround in that regard. We're going to have to manage a squad not just through that, but then through hopefully another game in 2 days following that. So we're going to back into grind mode and a really, really important week ahead for us.
So you were mentioning yesterday that sometimes is the team that gets a first round bye, it can be tough to play a team that feels like it's hot and wants to make a run. Can that be you guys? Can it be beneficial to play too quickly?
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll need to put that spin on it for sure, right? That the hope is that you're on your way to Virginia and you already have tournament experience from this season. You have a win under your belt and you've kind of lived some of that experience of the NCAA tournament play, and there's a little longer for your opponent, Virginia, to wait to have that experience. But as I said, the implications of the rest recovery aspect of things is huge. So we'll have to be really intelligent with how we manage the squad and kind of balance our way through that. But first and foremost, we've got to make sure we take care of North Florida.
On one hand, you've only got the one loss. On the other hand, 7 draws. What does that say about what you think maybe the selection committee favored in terms of how they?
Yeah, look, I mean, for me, RPI is there for a reason, right? We're a top 16 team in the RPI. We're one of 3 teams with a loss. We've played 20 games this year. 10 of them are against teams that made the NCAA tournament last year. So, yeah, we've drawn more than we would have liked. But at the same time, the body of work in the 4th best conference in the country, when you win the conference title and then you go on and win the tournament title, I expected that would be enough. Regardless of the number of ties, so quite honestly. And like I said, there's a mathematical algorithm for this. I would prefer if we just stuck to it and everyone kind of knew where they stood. I'm sure we're not the only team that feels a little hard done by today, but we need to use that as motivation and a little bit of anger perhaps and look to take it out on hopefully not just one team but 2 teams over the next week.
There's been discussions in other sports about RPI and rating systems, most notably basketball. You see the same thing here, and it sounds like you would be in favor of just saying, hey, here's the rating system, and we're just going to seed and make the tournament directly from that.
Yeah, absolutely. We have a mathematical algorithm that does a pretty good job of telling you where you are and what your ranking should be. With respect, there's not necessarily the level of eye test within our committees and panel necessarily. And again, it leads to the question of doubt or concern and of who makes it and who gets home games and so on and so forth. You have an Indiana team that's 21 in the RPI that's a 14 seed. So look, that's not Indiana's fault. That's something that an opinion has played a role in that decision somewhere. Where again, the math would tell you that we deserve to be one of those seeded teams. So. Yeah, the group's not happy with what we've just seen, and as much as we'll respect our opponents, we'll plan to take it out on them a little bit as well.
Regardless of the path you have, how comfortable are you with the form of the team now and what you've done over the last 8 days to get?
Yeah, I spoke to Otto yesterday a little bit, and he just believes that we're kind of built for this time of year. We have a really experienced group. We've shown our resilience, going 2 goals down against Southern, a goal down against Kentucky, and then after quite honestly an underperformance at Marshall, really showcasing what we're capable of yesterday as well. We got the statistical feedback from the game yesterday, and we were very much the dominant team. And I think that's a fair reflection of what this team is capable of. And we play with that type of form going into next week. We'll be right where we need to be following it.
How has last year's tournament experience impacted your guys this time around?
like I said, I mentioned to the guys before we got into this circle of postseason, there might not be a team in the country with more postseason experience than us in recent years, right? Obviously, you can look at what Clemson's done, but I think the turnover there was more substantial than what we've had. So we have a ton of returning guys with fantastic experience at this stage we'll know how to handle it with great maturity, and I'm sure we'll be laser focused going into Thursday.
You mentioned speaking with Otto and kind of getting the temperature of the team through him. How important has he been in serving as that kind of pipeline conduit for you?
I mean, both the captains, right, and just the leadership group in general. That senior group, it's a quality relationship now that we can pretty much connect anytime and any place, and get a really good feel for what the group is going through, what they might need in any given moment. And I think there's a real energy and a buzz around the group. That'll sting a little bit today, but I'm sure there'll be an attitude going into training tomorrow that's focused and ready to get prepared for North Florida.
Thanks, Dan.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.